You're listening to the REI Marketing Nerds Podcast, the leading resource for real estate investors who want to dominate their market online. Dan Barrett is the founder of AdWords Nerds, a high-tech digital agency focusing exclusively on helping real estate investors like you get more leads and deals online, outsmart your competition, and live a freer, more awesome life. And now, your host, Dan Barrett.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's REI Marketing Nerds podcast. As always, this is Daniel Barrett here from AdWordsNerds.com. How are you? I hope you're having an awesome week. I am a tiny bit raspy this week, a little bit better than maybe my last few podcasts. Sooner or later, I'll have my voice 100% back. I'm sure that will happen. But this week, I wanted to talk about something. I was thinking about topics to talk about. You know, I had a couple things in the queue, a couple things I knew I wanted to talk about. And it just occurred to me that, you know, as always, if I want this podcast to have the absolute biggest impact on you and your business, I need to sometimes shy away from maybe the more immediate tactical stuff. And I need to focus on the stuff that really makes a huge difference. And a lot of the times, that's how you think about this kind of marketing, how you think about online marketing for motivated sellers in particular. And something that is, I think, very often overlooked by real estate investors and a really good way for you to differentiate from your competition is this idea of how not to die. And how not to die is essentially what I call making sure that we account for the potential downside, right? It's like my friend Nick oftentimes will call this, you know, it's not stepping heavier on the gas. It's taking your foot off the brake. And I think a lot of us in our businesses, we're struggling for the results that we want. We're struggling to achieve our goals. We're struggling to hit our revenue numbers, whatever it is. And the whole time we've got our foot on the brake. We're doing things that we know aren't optimal. You know, that's like getting enough sleep is a good example of this, right? It's like if you are struggling in your business and you're struggling to hit your goals and you're struggling to do all the things that you need to do and you're getting 3 hours of sleep a night, well, chances are you know that getting a solid 7 to 8 hours every single night is going to have a massive impact on your health and your quality of life and the way that you think and how productive you are and how successful you are. But we are always tempted to look for the more proactive thing, the thing we can actively do. So it's like the new marketing channel or the new marketing method or the new tactic or whatever it is. And all the while, we just kind of leave our foot on the brake and wonder why we can't go as fast as we want. So this week's all about taking our foot off the brake. It's about not saying, how can I hit every single goal I need to hit? Instead, it's saying, how do I not die before I get there? And there are three major things I think come up specifically for online marketing in this kind of realm. Okay. Things that I know for a fact everybody does, and I know for a fact are going to prevent you from hitting the goals that you have, that are going to make sure that you get less deals than you could have. These are real pragmatic things that are going to have a pretty much immediate impact. So it's not woo-woo here. We're talking about things that you can do right away that are going to make sure you get to your goals a lot more quickly and a lot more happily. So let's dig into this. Number one, look at the numbers, but not too much. Okay, so online marketing and stats, numbers, metrics, they have kind of a weird relationship to the real estate investor. One of the best things about online marketing is the fact that it produces a lot of really objective data, and it can do that really quickly. So if you compare that to, let's say, like doing a direct mail campaign, you know, if you're going to split test that campaign, you got to send out those two pieces of mail. You got to have like two different phone numbers and all that different stuff. and you got to send it out and you got to wait for it to come back. And, it takes a lot of time. Whereas split testing, let's say an ad on Facebook or an ad on Google AdWords, you can think of it, launch it very quickly, get it out into the market almost immediately, and get very concrete data right away. How many people clicked on it? How many people liked it? How many people engaged with it? How many leads did it produce? How many deals did it produce? You can get all this data back in a very concrete way, very, very quickly. And that's amazing, right? That's amazing. It's one of the things that produces such great results for online marketing. It's one of the reasons that it's my favorite type of marketing. But knowing that and understanding that just because that is the case does not mean we want to be engaging with our online marketing numbers every single minute of every day. Well, those are two very different things. And it's this sort of loophole of human psychology that we tend to feel the pain of our losses more intensely than we feel the pleasure of our wins. Essentially, what that means is if you are paying a lot of attention to every up and every down that your campaign has, that your marketing has, or whatever, you're going to be miserable even if you're making money most of the time. And in fact, this is a real life thing for us at AdWords Nerds. We've had clients this is literally true. We had a client come on, do PPC. If this client is listening to this, you know who you are. Have a client come on, do PPC. They signed up for 90 days, so during 3 months. In 3 months, they did 7 deals. They did 7 deals. I think it was at like a 5 to 7 times return on their investment. And at the end of those 90 days, this person was like, well, I don't know if I want to keep going. It's like, if I said, look, give me your 401k and I'm going to get you 5 to 7 times your investment in 90 days, everybody on earth would do that, right? This is literally a no-brainer. You put $1 in the machine and you get $5 to $7 out, right? It's basic math. It's pretty amazing. And I'm not saying this is average results, because it isn't. This was above average results for sure. This person crushed it. And at the end, he wasn't sure if he wanted to keep doing it. Well, why is that? That's, objectively, I think if like we're talking about this now, and I'm just telling you this, that's an irrational decision. Of course, you're supposed to just keep doing that. But like, why was he unsure? Well, he was unsure because he saw a bunch of days where like money went out, nothing came in. And he saw a bunch of days, or he saw like a whole week sometimes where he wasn't getting any leads. And he saw like the big, expense of paying for the ads, and you got to pay for the team and all that stuff, right? And he felt the losses more intensely than he felt the gains. So it's like spending the money on the ads felt worse to him than getting the money from the deals, even though he made 5 to 7 times more on the deals than he spent on the ads. And this is one of those things where if you just think that you're going to get into online marketing and the numbers are just going to be what they are, and you're going to be consistent and it's going to be just awesome all the time, well, you're going to be in for a rough ride, because online marketing is a market. It's a market like the stock market or the housing market, right? We know that in general, the stock market goes up over time, right? Stock market's been a great investment over the however many years the stock market's been around. And it's probably going to keep increasing and improving and providing a great return over time. But that's if you look at like 10 to 50 year periods. If you look at the individual days, well, the stock market's all over the place. Some years it's in the garbage, right? Some years it's amazing. And online marketing is the same way. You can have an incredibly profitable account that generates dozens of deals a year at a very hefty profit. But if you look at it day to day, or even week to week, or month to month, sometimes it's going to look terrible and sometimes it's going to look amazing. So the key here is that we want to know our numbers. We want to look at our numbers. We have to look at the numbers, but we don't want to look too much. I schedule it personally. Like twice a month is when I check on my own marketing numbers. For you, it might be once a week, it might be once a month, it might be once a quarter, I don't know. But we want to schedule it and set a time so that we we check our numbers, we know our numbers, but we don't obsess about them every single day because we know if we do that, we're going to make ourselves miserable, even if we're making money over time. So that's how not to die. Trick number 1. Look at your numbers, but not too much.
Are you an investor who wants to dominate your local market? Do you want more leads and deals online? Then download your copy of the Motivated Seller Blueprint, absolutely free, at www.adwordsnerds.com/gift. What are you waiting for? Go to www.adwordsnerds.com/gift right now to get your copy of the Motivated Seller Blueprint.
All right, how not to die. Trick number 2, know where your break-even point is. These are really critical because online marketing systems, if you're looking at SEO or PPC or really any of these systems, right, they tend to start relatively inefficiently. So when you start, you don't really know what's working. You don't really know what your bid strategy is going to be. You don't know what keywords or ads or landing pages you're going to settle on. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, we've done this so many times, hundreds of times by now, in pretty much every single market in the United States. And we still don't know exactly what we're going to see every time that we launch, right? Everything's changing all the time. Constant change is the norm. So you never know what you're going to get. So you always end up starting at a relatively inefficient spot and then hopefully getting better over time. If you're working on it, if you've got someone working on it for you, you're testing things, you're optimizing things, like you should be continuously getting better, at least when you look at the overall trend line, right? You can think about trick number 1. We're talking about looking at our numbers, but not too much, right? Over the course of the year, we should see substantial improvement, even if like day to day, we're going up and down. So when you start, you're not as good as you're going to end up. The problem that a lot of people make is they look at where they start and they say like, oh, this isn't where I needed to be. And then they quit. And so they end up spending the money early on and not staying in the game long enough to actually recoup their investment by seeing the improvement, right? Just sort of like going to the gym for a week and saying, well, I don't have the muscles that I want. I'm going to stop working out. This is a waste of time. It obviously doesn't work like that, right? But then if you're in the situation where you're like, look, okay, I know I'm going to get better, but like, how do I judge my performance? Typically what I'll look at is what I call the break-even number. And this is saying like, literally, if all I wanted to do was break even, how much could I spend? Let's say you spend let's say you make about $10,000 per deal. All right, you're wholesaling, you make about $10K on a given deal. All right. And let's say you close about 1 out of every 10 leads. Okay, so what can you spend per lead and just break even? Well, in that case, if you're making $10,000, right, and you close 1 out of every 10 leads, you can actually pay $1,000 a lead and still break even. You're not losing any money if you're paying $1,000 a lead. Anything below $1,000 a lead, you are making money, right? If you close 1 out of every 20 leads, well, then it's 500. So you're like, all right, I close 1 out of every 20 leads. That means I can pay $500 a lead and still break even. I'm not losing any money as long as I'm paying less than $500 a lead. And so let's say you start off in AdWords and things are very bad and you're paying $300 a lead, which is a lot for that market right now, right? So you're paying a lot per lead, like way more than you should. You're paying $300 a lead. Well, you're still making money. If your numbers are correct, if you're closing roughly 1 out of every 20, then you're going to break even at 500. That means at $300, you are making a profit. Now, it may not be what you want, and it may not be enough to keep you in the market, but at least you are making money. And not understanding this number, not understanding how much room you have to spend money on this system and still be profitable is one major reason that, like I said, people drop out before they actually get to the point where they're efficient. So they go to the gym for a week and they say, I don't have the muscles that I need, and they stop going. Little do they realize that if they just kept working at it, they would have gotten better and better every single time they went, right? Every single time they went and lifted some weights, they would have gotten stronger and stronger, and eventually they would get where they need to go. So it's this misunderstanding of saying like, well, how much room do I have to still be profitable? And misunderstanding that, hey, this is a system that gets more efficient over time, drives people out of the market early, ends up costing investors a lot of money. So that's how not to die. Trick number 2, know your break-even number. Final way not to die is to trust the trustworthy. Now, anytime I talk about trusting anyone with your marketing, I feel a pang of self-consciousness because clearly I run a business where I do marketing for real estate investors, and I ask my clients to trust me all the time, whether they're service clients or coaching students or they're attending a boot camp or whatever it is. So clearly, take this with a grain of salt, because anytime anybody says anything, you want to take it with a grain of salt. Of course, I have an incentive for telling you to trust someone with your marketing, but I will put my money where my mouth is. I hire people to do my own marketing. I work with a full-time Facebook ads person that does our ads on Facebook, and recently even doubled the amount of pay that I pay them in order to have them do even more work with us. I, in fact, hired my own SEO team. So the SEO team that I use that does all the work for us for real estate investors, Patty DeLessio, Jeremiah Rizzo, both full-time, amazing SEO people on our team. I paid them separately. So I paid them my own money in order to have them do SEO for AdWords Nerds. Now, here's the thing. I could run my own Facebook ads and I could do my own SEO. I know these things relatively well. I know, I've done SEO professionally for about 10 years now. Same thing for about pay-per-click, maybe a little bit less than that. And these are things I'm very familiar with. And I know more about AdWords Nerds than anybody. And I know more about our market than anybody. And I'm in the best position to do this work. And I still pay them a lot of money to do this. Why is that? Well, the fact of the matter is that the closer you are to it, the less objective you can be. And generally, the worse the decisions you're going to make are. And when it comes right down to it, when it comes down to making sure that I can focus on the things that only I can do, I just can't do all our marketing and do those things at the same time. That's not what focus means, right? So I trust trustworthy people. Now, the question becomes, how do you know who's trustworthy? Especially online, right? Especially online. There's a lot of people, a lot of competing theories, a lot of people who think this way is the best or that way is the best. And a lot of people make a lot of claims. So how do you know who to trust? Well, I have a couple major kind of filters I pass everyone through. The first is just experience. Have you helped someone in this industry who does what I do get to the goal that I'm trying to get to? The Facebook ads person that I hired recently, this is a person that works with similar funnels that we use, has worked in similar industries with people that I know and trust, and has really good reputation. So I can go to their references and say, how did this person do? And they came very highly recommended. Now, do I know if it's going to work out? No. So next thing that I do is I typically work for a period of time that's long enough to see results, but not forever. So I will set up a project with this ads person, for example. I work with them for 3 months. That's our contract. It's for 3 months. Why 3 months? Well, 3 months is enough time for me to see how they're going to work, for them to get things going, for them to start to see some results, for them to start to be able to change the numbers. And I can get a sense of both how responsive they are, how they work with me. Do I like their basic process, right? But I'm not married to this person forever. And at the end of those 3 months, if I don't see at least movement towards a positive result, then I'm not going to keep working with them. And then finally, the way I think through this is I think about the claims that they make. And if they make really dramatic claims, that's actually a red flag to me. Anybody that's worth their salt in online marketing should try to express to the potential client the chaos of the online marketplace, the danger of potentially losing money, the fact that, hey, no matter how good you are, nobody knows 100% what to expect ahead of time. That's just reality. And the people who pretend that that's not the case to me, it's not necessarily that I think they're being dishonest. To me, what it means is, oh, you're overconfident in your own abilities. That means you actually don't have as much experience as you think you do. Because experience in this kind of marketplace always teaches us to be humble, right? Hubris is a real thing. And hubris is a dangerous thing for someone who is managing your money and your business. So that's the third trick for how not to die. You trust the trustworthy and don't try to do everything yourself. And if you could do these things, well, hey, if you just focus on not making the big mistakes that everybody makes, and if you just focus on taking your foot off the gas, turns out you do a lot better and go a lot faster than everyone else. And it's not even going to look like you're trying particularly hard, which is a pretty awesome and powerful place to be. All right, everyone, I hope this week was useful to you. I hope you got some value out of it. I know I had a lot of fun talking about it. And hey, if you are not in our free Facebook group, you should come and check it out. You can get there at adwordsnerds.com/group. That's adwordsnerds.com/group. Swing in and say hello. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm posting in there every single week, including all sorts of in-depth trainings and new tools and live videos and sharing content and all sorts of cool stuff. Plus, there's a lot of other really awesome real estate investors sharing what works for them, asking questions, all sorts of cool stuff. So jump in there. That's adwordsnerds.com/group, or just go on Facebook and type in REI Marketing Nerds and you'll find it. All right, everybody, have an awesome rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. Cheers.
This is the podcastfactory.com.